Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. From the deepest jungles to the outmost reaches of space and beyond the veils of death itself, the Bald and Bonkers boys are back for another episode. It's no secret that you won't know what will happen next, but Dakota Franson and Chris Mole promise that all bets are off. Viewer discretion and straitjackets advised. These two idiots live up to the name.
Okay, that was a little weird. I don't think
It
it
was
played
weird,
the
wasn't
intro.
It did on the YouTube side because I watched it on my phone.
Oh. Well, we got Dots in the chat saying no sound.
Wait now.
Can you hear us?
Wait now, let me mute my mic.
Okay. That should tell you enough right now, Dots, that we're going to have one hell of a conversation.
There's volume in YouTube because I've just heard myself.
It wasn't exactly playing the intro.
No.
But figures.
There's a bit of feedback. It's because we're talking about the show tonight. The corrupt individuals that run this world.
So.
And they're watching us.
Yeah, okay, yeah, of course they're watching us. We've obviously made a nice little list somewhere, being the fact that we're talking about this. And, well, first off, let's get started with what happened to one of our lovely guests last week, Danny Henderson.
I heard about that. That's terrible.
It was about to say, I think she's still down.
Is she still down?
I think she's still down. I was recording a thing for Jessic last night with her, and her stuff's still down. She was on.
I know that Dots there in the MC in the chat. He watches what you call her quite a lot. Is she down? Is she still down? Because I'm sure she put out a video no long ago.
She tried to, but it was wasn't meant to go premiere. It would be marked as private because she was talking about this very subject, which we should probably get those ladies on as a guest for ourselves to see what happens.
Yes. Look, I'm only going to say this. The amount of corrupt people in this world is just taking the piss. Right? It is taking the piss. The amount of carry-on people have had trying to go and watch that movie is ridiculous. It's happening. I can see maybe one case, maybe a power cut here or maybe a fire alarm going off there, but no, everywhere on the planet simultaneously.
All for only theaters that are showing that one movie. Not necessarily for Guardians of the Galaxy, not for Indiana Jones, just for Sound of Freedom. That's a little suspicious, and everybody trying to say, oh, it's QAnon. Oh, it's a new conspiracy. Oh, this. Okay. First off, I'm going to say this. What the fuck is wrong with you people that are trying to say that this is propaganda to get people to microchip their children? That's not.
I know.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
I don't think you should microchip your children anyway. I think this microchip thing's starting to get out of hand, right? It will come eventually, but hopefully it won't happen for a while, yeah.
I mean,
I can't folk microchip the dogs and cats and stuff, but
that's exactly the type of chip I'm talking about. I mean, there's certain people who have had chips embedded in their hands. They can pay with their credit card to use them and stuff like that. Kind of cool from a tech perspective, but they're grown-ass adults. They can make that decision on their own.
Can you turn your volume up a wee bit? See on the control panel there, because for some weird reason, you're getting awfully quiet. I can't hear you when you go to talk.
Hold on, let me see something here.
That's better. What did you do there?
I just upped our volume a little bit, a couple notches.
It's weird because at the start of the show, it was away doing right to nothing.
I know.
And it wasn't there before we started, it was halfway up.
Yeah.
It's that. John
Not
Morris.
John Morris is going to write that they just took his 17-year-old son. Hey, it's good. This is a conversation that needs to be had. Because even Hollywood actors are starting to step up and saying enough is enough.
Why?
Which obviously right now with the writer's strike and the fact that CEOs are fully showing their colors in regards to that.
It's no that. I've noticed it here in the UK, even with the BBC, and I'm going to say it, the BBC, which is notorious for child things. And I've also noticed it with the British papers too, that some of them have actually rated the Sound of Freedom as a fictional movie. Honestly,
It's
I'm holy shit.
highly based on a true story. Because as
Yeah, I
an
know.
example, Jim Caviezel's portrayal of Tim Ballard kills someone towards the end of the movie. Tim Ballard never actually killed anybody. You know, obviously, it is a movie that was based on a true story. It's an amazing story. They talk about it all the time at law enforcement conferences.
I'm disgusted about how the subject you've brought up tonight, how the CIA shut down an investigation.
Hey, I'm just going to say this. The reason why I wanted to bring up this particular case is for the people still trying to say, oh, no, this stuff does not happen.
Okay.
Guess what? It's happened. And you want to know something else, Christopher? You want to know something else? This does not come from any conspiracy-based website. This does not come from any far left or far right newspaper. No QAnon bullshit. All these labels that people are trying to put on, distracting from the fact that, yes, kids are getting trafficked. Kids are getting raped. And trust me, if this episode is going to bother you, tomorrow, I promise you, is going to disturb the fuck out of some people. And I will mark down everybody whoever stirs up shit because of this episode.
I don't know. I just like to say
information comes from the FBI archives, straight from the source. That in the 1980s, 1990s, the CIA shut down an FBI investigation into child trafficking.
It's just terrible. It's honestly the corruption that's in the world right now is unbelievable. Governments, this is what people have to get through your thick skulls, and some of you are just idiots and you are not going to listen to this. It doesn't matter what I say. You all think that everything's magical and the fairies bring everything. But I'm talking to the people out there that don't really watch this, guys. But that's what I'm talking to. The government is notorious. The government are in this. There's top people in this. All those amazing celebrities that you like to watch in your best movies are in this. Where do you think they're making their money for? It's not the movies. The movies are making some money here, there, and everywhere, but they're investing it back into this. And the guy that does The Sound of Freedom knows this, and he's talked about it. He's talked about how the corruption, the sex slaves, everything in Hollywood.
Do you realize he's lost all of his representation?
Yeah, I know. And
every single one of his reps dropped it because he started talking about this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just not easy to acquire.
It's John Morris there. It says the CIA is a big part of child trafficking and drug trafficking. Exactly. The CIA bring in more drugs into the United States each year than the cartels do.
The CIA integrated themselves within the cartels in order to fund their operations.
Yeah.
JFK, he was trying to warn against it. He was trying to tear apart the CIA because he knew that this shit was starting up.
I'm going to say it. See if I disappear one night. I'm just going to say it out there. JFK, I think JFK was taken out because he said too much, right? Let's face it, I don't think it was Oswald up in the balcony with the gun. Who was the second shooter, you know? I think it's because he was saying too much. So if I disappeared, ladies and gentlemen, one day, you know it was the CIA.
Exactly. Just like with Danny Henderson, hey, she had her YouTube channel because she had a specific guest on, and who physically names several sitting U.S. presidents as getting involved in sex trafficking of herself and her own daughter.
Yeah.
And bounce back to Robert Kennedy Jr. He's had interviews get shut down because he talked about his family.
Yeah.
As if he wouldn't fucking know something.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to say this to the CIA or whoever's controlling this world right now. Your time is numbered. You're fucked. And I'm sorry I'm swearing here, ladies and gentlemen, because there's some people that watch this that don't like it when I swear. You're fucked. We will get you eventually. We will get you. If it's no me, it's maybe no me, it's maybe somebody else. But I can tell you something right now. Your time is numbered. Your times are numbered. Look what happened to the Nazis. Oh, we were only doing our jobs. So you, the guy that's controlling all this, and the guy that's sitting at his desk right now watching this, or the woman sitting at her desk right now watching this, you were only doing your job. Just remember that when you're standing in front of a court.
They won't even get that much.
No.
They won't. And it goes back to situations like these. There's a lot of people who try to say, oh, all three-letter organizations are corrupt. Yes, they have corruption within them. The FBI was getting ready to make raids on Biden until he got into office. There's been investigations into Trump. There's been investigations into just about every major political leader. And Chris, did I lose you?
No, it's just for a second you broke up for me. You disappeared for me.
You're frozen right now.
No, it's just because I'm not moving. I'm needing to get something in the background. I'm just sitting. I sit really still. I'm needing to get like a clock with a pendulum in the background to know that I'm still alive. I'm just sitting.
I know you and I both. It's like here. I got my fan going right now, so you kind of tell that's going.
Would you? I'll keep my hand going like that.
You know? I was like, no, you just froze up like that, and it's just like a little more. Normally, I would be able to see if you were breathing, but see, if one of us disappears, you know we hit somebody's nerves.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to say this now: the CIA, the MF, NSA, or whoever runs the world are not going to get rid of us too. They're not going to get rid of us too. Then we're all gone next week. Tumbleweed bloodbath. But anyway, it's other people. It's like the guy that's done Sound of Music. No, Sound of Music, sorry, Sound of Freedom. It's like them. I know, I was going to say that. The hills are alive. Just ignore me, guys.
The hills are alive. Tired. He's out of Scotland, so that can mean like
I know, so just ignore me. But what I'm trying to say here is put me off now. No, if I disappear, right, they're not going to come for folk like us. They're going to go for people that's done like the Sound of Freedom. They're going to come for the people, right? He's going to. I bet you something happens to him, and I hope to God nothing happens to him, and I hope he's protected, and I hope he's got all the angels running about him, and I hope he's protected, and I hope he's safe. But I bet you, like a lot of actors, like you were telling me before the live, have been coming out about it and then mysteriously just disappearing.
Oh yeah, there's been comments coming out from Mark Wahlberg saying that there's several Hollywood actors that are getting kind of sick and tired of the situation. Granted, it's also the writer's strike going on that's a big player in all of that. But why the fuck are they waiting until
we can
something
see you,
like
Drew.
this stirs up?
Yeah. It's just honestly, I just don't know. I just really do wonder what's going on in this world, and it kind of pisses me off. I'm friends with quite a few quite famous people in the old YouTube and that stuff, and none of them's mentioned this. Mm-hmm. As you say, yes, it puts them on the radar and stuff like that, and it might destroy their career and stuff like that. But there's a lot more famous people that need to come out and talk about this. There really is, and I admire the actors that've done it. Like that guy, what's his name? That actor out of Ted, what's his name?
Is that the only movie you know him from? Mark Wahlberg.
Aye, but he's been. Aye, I've seen him in loads of one, but I just remember him because he was so funny in that. But he admire him because he's done it. He's come out, but it just shows you there are all these famous celebrities that say they care for the children and all that. Staying so quiet. If you really cared about the children, you'd be saying something right now. But maybe again, they might be part of it.
No, it goes to show this is one of those cases where silence speaks volumes. This is a subject that bothers a lot of people because they indulge in it. They either indulge in it or they enable it.
Look, I'm going to say this to the new. There will be people watching this that spends like £80 or £90 on a wee tub of cream that size with a wee stupid lid on it. It takes off and then they rub it into the wrinkles and it takes away the wrinkles. That's made from children. You do realise that?
Yeah, that's made from human foreskin.
Yeah, so you're actually basically rubbing a foreskin up and down your head. I can't believe I just said that on live on air.
You're technically not wrong, though.
Look, what's that? Drew's abandoned Bible. He was daydreaming. Sometimes I just go off in one. Sometimes I forget. But it's honestly that cream.
Really I've seen. You should really not do it with headphones on because I think he's starting to get the headphone dent in his head.
What do you mean the headphone dent in my head? I've got a perfectly shaped head.
Here, do yourself a favor. Take off your headphones. Angle your head towards your on-air sign so we can see if you're starting to get the dent. No, turn to the side.
No, I've got a lovely shaped head, may I add.
No, there's a lot
wear
of
headphones all the time.
There's a lot of people who are getting dents in their head from where their headbands set.
No. See, the trick is that these are quite cheap ones, I'll admit. These were only like 20 quid. But I use like noise cancelling headphones and they were really expensive and they've got memory foam size and they don't damage the side of your head. Depending on what times you use, you know. But never mind that, we're jumping off the subject here. But look, it's so annoying that all these famous people, I mean, let's look at that cream that's meant to make you young, right? The foreskin cream, right? And people are like, oh yes, it's probably they get that from clinics and stuff like that. Really? And that quantity? Where do you think they're getting all this stuff, eh?
And here's the thing that intrigues me about this. We have the ability to 3D print meat.
Oh, I know, I've seen that.
We do. Why aren't we trying to, now, granted, human organs, they're complex structures. Why aren't we trying to focus the efforts on that tech to make universally accepted organs for organ transplant victims?
Because there's no much money in it.
Exactly. People who actually need it. But no, we're wanting to make hamburgers made from the meat of celebrities.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. It's madness. I mean, I've seen the 3D printed meat. It's a load of shit, a load of rubbish. Madness. It's like the bugs, they're eating the bugs and stuff like that. Aye, the Chinese are into that kind of. Mind you, the Chinese ain't. Just look at the bats. But that's a story for another time, Look, you have no idea, guys, how many children disappear each year. There is, if you look it up, you can find the trail. It's disappeared children. I mean, I know I'm going to mention the country again. I'm going to mention Russia again. You have no idea the amount of labs that Russia has uncovered in Ukraine to do with child trafficking. Do you notice I break up when I start talking about that? And I'm putting it out there that the Russians are actually doing a good thing here.
Yeah, people are going to say, oh, you're promoting Russian propaganda. No, the war is a fucked up situation no matter what.
Of course it is.
And it's not just Russia. There's Argentina. There's several facilities down in South Africa. I've reached to Operation Underground Railroad, the organization that Sound of Freedom was based on. And holy shit, the baby factories in Nigeria.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, do you know what happens to someone who's born with albinism in Africa?
No, but I've got a feeling you're going to tell me.
They're hunted.
They're
Because
hunted?
They're hunted. They're poached like animals.
What is that condition again?
Albino.
Oh, right. I don't. Why? Yeah. Is it because the look out of place? I mean,
here's one. No, I genuinely want to know where this train of thought comes from. Okay, they believe there's somehow the belief that raping albino children will cure them of AIDS, or just flat out drinking their blood will cure them of all these diseases.
Because it's stupidity and it's the madness of the world.
I want to know where the hell this thought process comes from.
Was it Sweden? Where's the bit in the world where a lot of white children disappear? Is it Sweden most? Is it mostly Sweden or is it Norway? Because there's a bit in Europe where a lot of white children really densely disappear and nobody knows why. And I'm wondering if it's maybe to do with organ, or it's maybe the sex slave or something like that.
Sweden is an interesting target because they do have very high-grade medical facilities there. Several world elites have been known to travel to Sweden because, one, they do blood transfusions. Say you were to get, and they pay well. This is actually one of the more humane practices, if you can believe that. Say there's like an 18-year-old college kid looking to make some extra money, they can donate their blood to like a 60-year-old because the telomeres that dictate the blood's age transfer over to the 60-year-old and technically reverse that person's aging. Yeah. It's also been known that in Sweden, their cancer treatments will biopsy samples of a tumor, subject the samples to the various different forms of chemotherapy, see which ones work the best, so that way when they administer the treatments on the actual person, there's the least amount of side effects and the highest recovery rate.
Yeah. But do you think that there's somewhere out there in this world right now that there's loads of kids in a cage, probably?
And think something else.
That's something into your head. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody's watching this.
No, let's take this a step further. In the Sound of Freedom, towards the beginning of the movie, you see this very beautiful woman rounding up all these kids under the guise of a modeling gig. Okay? What you have to realize is that a lot of these women involved in this were likely victims themselves that just managed to survive.
Yeah.
And the things they've had to do to survive, they don't come back from.
See, I heard stuff there. I mean, if you go down the rabbit hole of this stuff, right? If you go down the rabbit hole, the further you go down, the deeper it gets, right? I mean, they're talking about, right, imagine somewhere in the world there's a container ship, and in that container ship there's maybe 500 barrels, and each barrel's got body parts of a child in it. Is it $75,000 per barrel? Is that how much they're getting?
Roughly.
Something like that, something stupid like that. Just for, what do they actually do with this again? What do they actually do? Do they make that? What is it? There's that chemical that they make into it. What is that again? What is that?
Adrenochrome is naturally made in the body.
Right. So why do they need?
But you need someone alive. You need someone alive in order to do it.
So why do they need these body parts in barrels then? So what's the purpose of that? That's what I don't get my head around.
Some of them get donated in organ trafficking. There's recipes on the black market for cannibals.
See, that's what I was going to say, right? I was just waiting for you to say.
No, I've fucking seen these. I've seen these things, man. I've seen them. They tell you, how to prepare certain parts of the human body. They even go as far as to tell you what wine goes with the what body part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It makes you wonder. I mean,
adrenochrome is also believed to cause a psychedelic effect too.
But this is what I don't get. What do they want the body parts in the barrels for? Now, what they know, if it's organs have got to be taken out just before the person dies, or kept on they've got to be kept on ice. It's got to be get quick. Some of these ships take like a couple of weeks to get across the oceans, right? So, what is the purpose of this meat? Meat, I'm saying here. So, is it for people to eat? Are people in Hollywood eating these people?
Allegedly. I mean, you have the stories of the Queen having bodies, fridges full of blood samples. And Alex, we see you, but this is kind of a more important topic.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll say this, going back to the Finders, the episode that's named, the cases episode was named after. This was all the cliche, child trafficking, organ harvesting, satanic blood rituals, everything. And there is at least several files readily available on the FBI archive website.
Yeah.
And for some reason, one day it just stopped. There's ties to speculate that the CIA shut it down, and where this case took place, Washington, D.C.
Do you think anything will come out of this movie? Do you think what I'm going to see here is? Do you think, in your opinion, anything's got to come out of this movie? Do you think that the government, hopefully some government out there, will go and try and stop this?
No, I don't.
Do you think if Trump gets back into office, he'll try and stop this?
Trump was trying.
Yeah.
He was trying.
See, a lot of people don't realise, today, there's a lot of, and I'm going to say there was a lot of children brought across the Mexican border for slave labour in the United States.
Those children are utilized as sex slaves because the age of consent in Mexico is 12.
Is it?
Yeah.
In the name of God. That's... I just honestly, I'm sick to say that I'm a human right now. I really am. And I hope you're watching this, CIA or whoever these are. Honestly, there's people coming for you. Eventually, you're going to get old, you're going to retire. Let's face it. Eventually, they'll come for you. There'll be a chap at your door one day, and there will be a load of people standing there ready to take you away.
Well, just think about this. How many of these individuals who've gone into retirement developed degenerative brain diseases?
Aye. Don't you find that interesting? Aye, that's interesting, that is. I know people, right, that have done worked in really governmental things. And that's what I'm going to say. And they get that problem. And I've heard about this. People that have worked in the CIA, people that have worked in MI6, people that have worked in all these secret kind of organizations. When they retire, about a year later, they start getting really forgetful, and then they don't even care who their wife or whoever they are.
There's now, granted, I will say this. There's a couple different ways you can go about it. Could there be some sort of treatment plan that helps prevent them from saying too much when they get into retirement? Mm-hmm. Maybe. A lot of basically the time requirements for when the files get declassified, like when the JFK files were supposed to be declassified when Trump in office, the time allotted for before those files could be legally declassified was so that everybody who was likely involved in those, this is the official reason,
mm-hmm.
they would either be too old or dead to really care.
What happened with that? What happened with that? With the JFK files, was it never opened? Did Trump no deem it?
He opened as much as he could. Something stopped him.
It makes you wonder if he didn't want to open it because he was trying to use it to his advantage to maybe find out stuff. You get my draft? Because as soon as that's opened, the people that are still alive are going to go. People are going to go and look for them.
Yeah, but again, that's why you're supposed to wait so long, because either if the people are still alive, chances are they're going to be old and mostly brain dead. And when you think about it, the stress of the job could very well cause a wear and tear. It really does. That's why there's a lot of them that highly recommend mental health leave for these cases, because there's burnout. And the second they go to slow down, they go to retire, that's when everything that starts catching up to them, when they don't have that go anymore.
I'm just shocked at this world. I mean, the governments of this world could be doing so much more to help these people, help the children and stuff like that, but they're not. I mean, that president you've got is a complete and utter idiot. I don't know how he's managed to stay in office for so long.
Because he's on the
and
side
he's actually
to push all this.
And he's actually tied in this. He's tied in. I think he's got quite a big part to play with the sex trafficking and what'd you call it, from Mexico. What I've heard.
What about him on his recent visit? I believe it was Finland, where he started nibbling on a girl's shoulder.
I seen that. There was another one the other day there. It was actually yesterday, I think it was. And he went up and it was a wee girl. The mother was holding the wee girl, and he started nibbling her ear.
Yeah. Granted, I've seen, grandfathers do that, just with their own grandkids, but that's perfectly innocent. The only complaint the kids ever say is that grandpa's scratchy beard. But
this is Joe Biden we're talking about here, one of the most corrupt politicians in history.
Yeah, all these Black Lives Matter people want to praise him so much that you should really look up some of his early speeches.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to look up his
addressing people. He's fully addressing the prime demographic he's trying to appeal to as the N-word.
Yes, and we just need to look up Hunter Biden's laptop that Trump managed to get a hold of and copy.
Well, that was from the January 6th coup. But you also got to realize there's been several people like that John McAfee who had a full-on raid on his house, bogus charges. Like we mentioned last week, he personally donated several computers to members of Congress. I don't know how the hell that didn't get a red flag right off the bat.
I bet he did it deliberately.
He did it deliberately to personally monitor him, because he was trying to find evidence about why they were targeting him. And he had files. Yeah. He had a fucking tattoo basically saying, "I'm not suicidal."
Yeah.
And the freaking place that he allegedly had a bunch of his files at, they started trying to go ransack the place. Inconveniently, what happened to it? Boom.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, honestly, all we can hope for is a better president gets in. I'm not just saying Trump, because there is other better people out there than Trump to add. There's Mike Pence. He's quite a good president. He's running as president now too, but I don't know what he'll be like. But hopefully there's big change with this movie. Hopefully it changes. I wish to God that somebody in Hollywood is sitting and they've watched that movie and they're thinking, do you know, I've got all the evidence of all this going on. I could go to the press with this and release it.
But here's the thing.
Honestly.
Just look at the reviews going on for Sound of Freedom right now. They're all trying to say, oh, it's QAnon. Oh, it's QAnon. This movie was put together before QAnon was really a thing.
Yeah, it was made
Tim
actually.
Bell-
Was it not made 2019 or 2020 or something like that? This movie, it was.
But it was finished up by 2017, 2018 was when they started putting this movie. When they finally started finishing, actually filming this movie. Not a lot of people realize, if you're not a major studio, say like Marvel Studios, a film can take a few years to complete, going from initial writing to distribution. It's a pain in the ass.
So here's a question for you. What's Disney's part in all of this? Because I know that they've been a pain in the ass to people right now. Disney.
Are you just wanting to limit it down to the Sound of Freedom or overall? Because we've gone over this a few times.
Overall, it's quite interesting because a lot of people don't realize this, and it's true. You talked about this last week, and I knew about it, but I actually watched a thing on it, and all the top actors for like Disney have to go up and just randomly walk up to a child.
Yeah,
and
that's part of their
take them away.
That's part of their training. That's part of their training.
I mean, I'm going to say this, guys. I don't know if anybody in the audience here ever watches Disney pictures, Disney cartoons. I can't watch them anymore because you see the amount of symbolism that's in Disney cartoons and stuff that wasn't there before.
Talk about old, I think it was Peter Pan, the original cartoon that came from Disney.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about taking naughty young boys to Pleasure Island.
Yeah. It's actually quite interesting to see that.
Island was named.
This is so weird, right? Because I was actually listening to this guy, and he was talking about conspiracy theories, right? Just listen to this, right? And I'm not going to do it all. Peter Pan, what did he do? Peter Pan, he would go and he would take children to the island, right? And then there was this guy after him. It was after Hook, Captain Hook.
Yeah.
Was after Peter Pan. What happens if Captain Hook never ever hurt any of the other children, right? What happens if Captain Hook, that is in front of us all the time, was actually the good guy? And he was trying to stop Peter Pan.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was trying to stop Peter Pan, right, for taking the kids.
You do realize in the original story, Peter Pan is technically a serial killer.
I've never read the book.
No, seriously. The original story, I think, like Brothers Grimm, I don't think it was them off the top of my head, but the original story that the Disney movie was based on. The reason why they were called the Lost Boys was Peter Pan was killing them off when they got too old.
Really?
And that's where the conspiracy comes from. The little fan theory, conspiracy, whatever label you want to use for it, that Captain Hook was one that got away.
And he came back for revenge.
He came back because
he wanted to help.
Survivor's guilt.
See, that's
he couldn't live with the fact that he was the only one that got away, knowing what was going on. So he took matters into his own hands.
Look, I never knew that. That's really interesting. This
is the original story. That's where the whole fan theory comes from. Like, the reason why Captain Hook was so damned and determined for Peter Pan was because he was one of the Lost Boys that got away.
See, I think they do everything in front of us all the time. I think they put everything in plain sight because they know they can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. What's that, Doc MC? Like the boy who cried wolf. The boy was right. The wolf was always, as always.
Boy who cried wolf. That was also initially meant to tell children, don't lie about something messed up coming up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the second you actually see something happening, nobody's going to believe you, and it may be too late in order to do anything. And he also goes mentioned, Disney equals programming equals conditioning. Yeah. Films influence us in a lot more ways than people realize. Yeah. Every stimuli we go, take in throughout our day affects literally how our brains are wired. This has been well known for quite some time. It's been implemented in several MK Ultra programs. Just listening to us ramble on will affect how your brain wires itself.
Oh my god, I'm surprised you guys two have been doing sections yet. Yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised we've had minimal issues.
I'm amazed that you've not disappeared one night, but that's or I've disappeared. Get what I mean? But I think if they do anything to the guy that did Sound of Freedom, I think it would create a martyr type thing. I honestly think they would.
Here's the
I mean,
thing.
let's only go. Sorry, and I'll tell you that thing.
No, you go ahead.
No, on you go.
No, I was going to say this. How many people are going to praise if something happens to it?
Exactly.
How many people are going to cheer it on?
Wait and see. We talk about a movie. You mentioned a movie a wee bit back there, right? And is it The Lost Boys? That's the vampire movie.
The Lost Boys was also what Peter Pan called the kids.
Yeah, but there was I want to talk.
Yeah,
Ever seen?
I haven't seen it in a long
Because
time.
this is going into Hollywood. This is going into Hollywood and stuff like that. There's that there's that actor that was sexually abused. And you know, is it Corey Feldman?
Corey Feldman, wasn't it?
You kind of guy I'm talking about, the guy who ran the comic shop. Come on, guys, dots. Ended the show.
Yeah.
Who's the Corey Feldman? The guy Corey Feldman was the
I know the one
who
was talking about being a victim of this child sex
yes.
trafficking, and
yes,
he actually had people trying to run him off the road.
He was in the film about the vampires. I think it was called.
It's been forever since I watched it.
Look, he's too young. I'm nearly 42. He's 26 or 27. You were playing your harp when that film came out. That he was sexually abused because I watched the documentary on that Corey Feldman, and he was talking about this, and he was saying that it was one of the directors that taken him to a party. There you go. Drew's Abandoned Paranormal. Yeah, he was the little brother of the guy that owned the comic shop. And the Lost Boys on the vampire movie. You can the vampire movie. And one of the directors had taken me a party, right? And other young ones to the party, and says, "Would you like to go to a special party?" Right? And he says, "Oh, aye, because this is him starting out in his career. I would love to go to a special party." And they take him to a special party where he was raped.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a lot of top Hollywood people at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they still are. Doc MC, he was a frog brother, I think. And it was when the boy that moved in the film to the Bay or whatever it was called. He went to the comic shop, and the two boys worked in the comic shop because their mum and dad run the comic shop, and they were vampire hunters. He was one of them, and he was talking in that movie. He was raped by a couple. They get taken to a special party, and he says these special parties were ran throughout Hollywood, and still to this day, it still goes on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, River Phoenix, that's another one.
Yes.
Joaquin Phoenix's brother.
Yeah. It's shocking. It's shocking.
Like a couple of examples I gave, to help ruin the childhood shows of some of my generation. Anything created by Dan Snyder with Nickelodeon, meaning like iCarly, Victorious, whatever the new ones are that he has on now. Dan had a thing for blondes.
Oh, yeah.
And he would isolate young girls. And basically, any of the Nickelodeon ones affiliated with these shows who went on to have mental breaks have all said at one point, Dan did it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We just need to look at Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Which ironically Disney Cruises made to stop at.
Was that offloading some fresh blood?
Or loading it on to move on to the next destination.
Maybe that's how they did it.
Because
Maybe
think
they
about
used
it.
cruise ship as covers.
Exactly, because nobody's going to think any of the wiser about some people just walking around with their kid on a Disney cruise.
Here's a question for you. What do you think Michael Jackson's and Michael Jackson and all of this? What's your opinion of Michael Jackson in this situation? Do you think he knew something? Or do you think he was doing something?
Michael knew something.
Yeah. I don't think he was doing it, to be purely honest with you. I think he knew something.
A lot of those kids that allegedly came out about Michael Jackson, they showed all the signs of being coached.
Yeah. And then his death. Overdose. Well, supposedly overdose. I think he knew more, and there's like a lot of other top actors out there that have died mysteriously, that have just passed away really quickly, which is very strange. It kind of happens. I mean, there's been a few really mysterious deaths. Who's that actor? What was his name? He was in the new Star Trek. You know who I'm talking about? He played a ghost hunter.
The one that got crushed by his Jeep.
That was mysterious. Because if you watch the thing on about it, the vehicle didn't have anything wrong with it when they found the vehicle, but they said it was a switch inside that turned off and it made it roll back, which is, I don't know. It makes you wonder. Maybe they went to him and says, "Listen, can you do this? Can you do that?" And he's seen something and he's like, "I'm not having this. I'm not having this. I'm going to talk about this," and they've killed him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he was an up and coming actor. Him.
It was.
It makes you wonder how many top actors right now know this. They know it all, but they're just too scared to talk. Because they know if they talk, they'll be found dead the next day, or something will happen to them.
They'll be found dead. Their children will be targeted. Their families will be targeted.
It's not just them; it's their families.
Exactly.
I mean, I watch a lot of stuff about like the Illuminati in Hollywood and stuff like this, but the Illuminati's had a lot to play with. The Illuminati's got a lot to do with the child trafficking too. It's not just the CIA. It's all one big knot, and we need to slowly untangle it to find the truth. What's that? Drew's abandoned paranormal. Yeah, you just don't know, Chris. Look,
exactly.
You just don't know. There could be actors out there that you love watching that could be making millions of pounds off of these children. No. I mean, just look at the UK. The way the UK, just bring up the BBC, for instance. Look at the famous case with Jimmy Savile. He was protected by the Queen. The Queen protected him. Right? The Queen protected him until his death. This is what a lot of folk don't like this when I mention it, right? But he ran private parties for Prince Charles, now King Charles.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you wonder what happened at these private parties. Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein Island. Everybody's in it. There's no that many left. I don't think there's that. I think there's in Hollywood. There's maybe about 7 people that are coming out about this, and that's that. The rest of them are all corrupt, or they're too scared to talk about it because their families. They don't really bother about themselves, but their families.
It's a lot like
Pharisee, right?
What in a way, when you really think about it, it's a lot like when we were talking with Dan Willis about the 2002 press conference he did with Dr. Greer.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the people involved in these projects, only that many were willing to show their faces, knowing damn well they're putting their lives on the line. And that's just for funky things flying around in the air. Can you imagine how many are going to be even more suppressed, admitting that their bosses like to fondle children?
Yeah.
Or like certain guests that popped up earlier in the chat, the feeling like we should make the show all about her.
Yeah. Well, ken something, I'm very sorry if we've ignored you, whoever you were on Facebook, but ken something, we've got more important things to talk about rather than you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
that's
what's wrong with the world today. There's too many self-centered pricks on the planet.
Yeah.
That think that if they say something, you've got to watch and listen to whatever they say. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky. We're lucky tonight. We've got a lot of good people in the chat. We've got Drew's Abandoned Paranormal. We've got John Morris. We've got Dots. We've got a lot of really, really good subscribers in there. But there is a lot of dicks out there.
There are.
Yeah, and it's like the people that attack some of our guests that we've had on the show. There's some of the people that attack them. They're dicks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed that there's nobody giving us any hate mail tonight. It's usually somebody in the chat talking a pile of utter pish.
Because we've also made it well known that we ain't afraid to call them out. Yeah, I know I've kind of built a reputation for firing off of people, but I'm trying to reserve it for genuine assholes. I promise. I don't mean I've been a lot better lately.
I've noticed that you've not been a raving lunatic as usual, and I'm only joking.
Well, only in the fun way.
I'm like that. You don't prod them. You're like that.
No.
You know, but look,
I'm
amazed that we never get any hate mail. I mean, why do we never get any hate mail? Because I think people are just so much pussies out there. And this is the problem with this child trafficking and that.
Well,
at least me and you and Elena and the guys we were doing last week, and that guy's made the Sound of Freedom, and all these people we've got the balls to actually say something, and then there's these people that just don't give a fuck. They're just like, oh, quiet. I'm not saying nothing because I'm not going to get into this.
Exactly. I mean, these people who think that they are above all else, they don't care. They think that all these kids getting trafficked are less than human and they deserve it.
I know.
And I'll be honest, why do we not get any hate mail? Well, it's because I also exposed the location of a couple of people that tried stirring up shit for us last time, and they weren't very fond of that. So it only took me 5 minutes to track down their home address. I know all the tricks the bad guys use.
Yeah. Well, you know, something you just need to put their address somewhere where everybody can see it, you know.
And like I said, for those of you who think, oh, I can stir up shit, I use a VPN. All it takes is the right program to look at your desktop clock to figure out you're using a VPN and get around it.
Yeah, because it looks at the right time.
Can be done.
Aye.
Yeah, it'll be kind of funny if VPN's reading in London, but your desktop clock shows that your time is in Hawaii.
Yep. Look, you're going to get the haters, you're going to get arseholes, you're going to get everything. I mean, it's going to happen. But at least we'll go down as I say this, we'll go down in history as the people that spoke out about it. We didn't go out in history as the people that stayed quiet about it and promoted it. Because they knew see, if you stay quiet about this, you're helping it. Yeah, you're helping it if you stay quiet about this.
Exactly.
You are a part of the trouble in this world now with child trafficking and that. You're a part of it if you don't talk about it. And you'll be like, oh, but what am I meant to do? See, the next time you see somebody used to say, "Oh, you ever seen the film Sound of Freedom? Go and get a watch. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about that?" That's all you need to do. Pass that on to somebody and tell them to do it again. Because see, the more people wake up, the less likely they'll lose power. Eventually, they'll lose power because one day there'll be a border guard that's maybe watched the Sound of Freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll see these barrels coming across the border, and they'll be, "Oh, these borders are," and he'll maybe check them, and they'll find something that you don't want to find inside them. See what I'm saying with this? You notice I'm starting to break up as I talk about this. It's quite interesting.
I will say this, and I think tomorrow we should continue the conversation, but
Yeah,
we should focus it a little bit more close to home.
Mhm.
The cases that either get unreported because it's their person's own family that's doing this to them. Because it's not just these exotic networks. It's not just Hollywood. It's people taking advantage of their own kids, drugging them. I mean, I told Chris about a case that inspired tomorrow's episode.
I seen that. I couldn't believe that the woman got off it. I was like, what?
All because her husband was a cop.
Honestly, I just don't know. I really don't know anymore.
And when you really think about it, which one's worse? These elaborate networks or the ones where it's the parents doing it?
Well,
or the mothers not wanting to let go of the stepdaddies.
I'm going to say something.
Families not wanting to say anything because they'll be banned from seeing the children.
I'm going to say that that's a terrible thing, right? But there's also something I would like to talk about is what's happening now in schools and stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
You know what? Let's bring it in. Because the kids, they're supposed to be able to trust their parents. Supposed to be able to trust the police, school teachers. And look what the fuck's happening now.
Exactly.
I
watched a video. It was on TikTok last night. And it was in Ireland. And the mother and father were outside in the car park, and it was a school. And they thought, "Ken, something I'm going." It was a library. Sorry, it was a library, and you just can go and watch this. And they said they just went in to look, right, and they were against paedophilia. That's what they did. That's what their job was, right? Because you see it all the time, everywhere, right? And they walked in. Oh my god! And it was loads of like 5-6-year-olds, and they had men dressed as women doing things in front of them, showing them what to do. And they videoed that.
And they're actually recommending children read these books on how to do it.
Yeah. It's absolutely sick. It's absolutely sick. See these people. Look, I've got nothing against like, hey, if you're gay, right? I've got nothing against that. But see when you start like going to schools and dressing up in chains and whips and stuff like that, and trying to show children these things, that's absolutely sick. And you should be taken out, and you should be whipped for what you're doing. And I don't care what folks say about that. I'll give a fuck.
You know
what I mean?
Andrew brings up an interesting point here. The talk about Baphomet. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. When you really take into consideration, I think this is a good point to end the show on. We always hear all these words of Satanist practice, all that. The original meaning of the word Satan just meant adversary, opponent, equal opponent. That's it. There's only one ever instance of a physical being named Satan, and whenever that was named, it was usually prefixed by the term Satan. This is going back to the original Hebrew translations of the Bible. Obviously, that was the archangel known as Samael, and not even Lucifer. The two kind of got mixed up. The Satanists that everybody tries to point their finger at, say like the Satanic Church that's down towards the East Coast, I believe towards Tennessee. They're just as much against everything we're talking about as we are. They just use the image of Satan, Baphomet, as the big middle finger to the establishment, to Christianity that allows this stuff comes from.
I'll say this: what's going on the new with the schools and stuff and that, and what's going on the new with people dressing up as women and men and identifying as carrots and Christ knows what they're identifying as, is getting ridiculous. I watched the thing. It was actually on, I think it was on YouTube, and it was actually one of the Pride people. It was from the early 90s, came with the Pride in the early 80s, 90s, when it first started off. And these people are like New Orleans, big place, big to do with the Pride and stuff like that. And there was a group of them, and these people knew they're in their 60s, like, and they're like, one was dressed as a woman, right, which is fine. And they're like, they said, this is getting out of hand. They were actually saying, this is getting out of hand, this identifies thing. And what's getting taught at schools, it needs to stop. But it's like a freight train. It's just running away. It's getting worse and it's getting worse and it's getting worse.
There's a lot of LGBT people who are legitimately stepping away from the movement when it stopped being about equality.
Mm-hmm. It's madness because I'm feared to speak to anyone who the dress kind of funny because they're like, I identify as a non-binary turn up carrot. Christ knows what they are. So if they could I can identify as a carrot. I filled in. I'd seen when I was creating the Ghost Squad Scotland streaming service. It asked me what I identified as.
I know.
So I put carrot. I did. I put a carrot. Fuck it. Why no?
That doesn't surprise me. But you got to consider the fucked up thing here is that them targeting all these children. They know that the kids aren't going to know any better, and they're thinking all the kids are going to think is that it's going to be funky dances. These kids don't know what the hell they're being shown.
Like I seen a video the other day there, and it was a march. I don't know where it was. It was in the United States somewhere, and they were singing "We are coming for your children." Did you see that one?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and the cops are just standing there. They're just like, looking about, looking for somebody like dropping a bit of chewing gum or something like that, and they'll pile on top and start hitting them with their batons and stuff like that. It's mad.
Yeah.
There you go. There's Drew's abandoned paranormal. She wants to be addressed as a tree. See, I think we could take this. I think we could take the utter piss out of these things because we could identify. I'm identifying as a carrot from now on.
Oh, you small-minded people. You small-minded.
Oh, what you identifying
I would like to identify as United States president.
Well, that's it. He will have the president. I don't know. I'm just looking at the chat. Honestly, I honestly wonder sometimes.
Yeah, I know we kind of got off the rails. I'll probably have to do a follow-up on it to actually talk about the case.
Look, because it's all connected, Drew. It's all connected. It's pedophiles that run everything, right?
Our kids going into relationships with their best friends, confusing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I honestly just don't know anymore. The world's totally messed up. It really is messed up, and these people are. I don't know what to do with them. If I say it, I'll probably get arrested. See, that's the thing. The police now would rather beat somebody up for having a camera, right, than do anything about this. Which I'll agree you shouldn't annoy a police officer when he's trying to do his job and all that kind of stuff. Especially standing outside the police department. I think that's stupid because you get these people that do that kind of stuff. Aye, you can do it, but you shouldn't annoy them. But they could focus more on this. But obviously, maybe they're getting stopped. Maybe the higher ups are none. That's not like, oh, you can't go near that.
Because unfortunately, when it comes to the police system, politics do become a part of it.
Yeah.
And just like the CIA shutting down the FBI
Yeah.
investigation into the finders, and links are in the chat as well as in the description of this episode. So go see for yourself. It is astounding. But
look, yeah,
it's hard to fight.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
You know, someone tried to point. It was like, what are we supposed to do? There's things to do, and we're doing our best to try to rally up some of the charities, so that way we're not just using this platform to bitch out. You know, we can actually do something to take some action.
Yes. I just don't know. I honestly don't know. And if you're watching this and you know anything that's going on, please, is there anybody they can contact? Is there a special charity? That the Sound of Freedom, that guy runs a charity, didn't he? Is there any way, if there's anybody watching this that's got knowledge about what's going on now, just in the off chance, they can contact that guy or they can contact someone that can help?
Actually, you know what? Let's
just in the off chance that maybe there's somebody out there that maybe works for a celebrity.
Well, we'll say this: Sound of Freedom, Operation Underground Railroad. Once again, freaking Streamlabs is not letting us post in the chat directly from the streaming platform. It's kind of annoying. But yes, you have Operation Underground Railroad. They operate out of Salt Lake. There's several other charities that are very much involved in this, and a majority of them are trying to network even more so together to address this issue.
Yeah.
I have reached out to Operation Underground Railroad to schedule a possible interview, but unfortunately, because of the movie, they've been getting a lot of other people doing it too, so it might be a while.
Yeah. So, guys, if you do work for a celebrity or you know any information, contact them and tell them everything you know. And if you've got files or you've got memory cards with anything on it, send it to them. Take it to them. Because believe me, they could help you. Well, they could help the children.
There's several different organizations, and yes, there's corrupt law enforcement out there. But still, contact your local authorities if you know something's up. They can't move in unless somebody tells them.
Exactly.
And tell them the second you know about it. Don't wait.
Okay. I don't wait.
No.
Why?
No, I don't.
And 5 years later, they found out. Aye.
Do you not realize how much of a problem that is? People that'll just start calling into cops about situations that happened a week ago.
Aye.
It's like,
and I
I'm
will
sorry, say like fireworks being fired off and you think someone blew their finger off. You think that person could have used the help when the finger flew off?
And I'm going to say this to you guys: don't make stuff up and then just phone the cops to think that you're going to do stuff. Get what I mean? Because I bet there's people out there that say, "Oh, I could be part of this movie, the next movie. I could make something up, then phone the cops and tell them all about it." Because there is people out there that lie. I ken somebody that works for the police, and they were telling me some of the mad, crazy prank calls they got.
Oh no!
There was. They check it out.
They have to. I'll say this. No, I will say this before we go. There was an incident with a case I was actually involved with. It was a missing girl turned homicide. Someone called in that the rest of the bones were found. It was only her skull that was ever located. They got there, examined this scene. It was dog bones.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking Halloween decorations.
I honestly, there's some stupid people out there that think they can. Yeah. Drew's Abandoned Paranormal was that people need to talk, they need to grass on their bosses and neighbours. I bet there's somebody sitting out there right now, maybe not watching this, but they've got evidence that could put people away for a very, very long time.
But will they use it?
Or will they use it to better themselves?
Use it? Will they use it? Are they keeping it on standby because they have to hold something over these people?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like how that alleged Frazzle Drip movie involving Hillary Clinton and Anthony Weiner's wife, Huma Abedin, I believe her name is pronounced, sexually torturing and mutilating a teenage girl.
No.
How that was allegedly found under a file called life insurance. Allegedly. Yes. Allegedly.
Aye, so it was to keep their person alive.
So, exactly. Because they knew the people they were dealing with. But as it doesn't go without saying, if you believe something is going on, the only way you can step up is to call it in right away. If you have evidence, share it.
Yes.
If you think there's some sort of political cover-up going on, save copies of everything. You can move up the chain of command and pressure it. It can be done.
If you are afraid, now here's one, if you're afraid that there's police officers that you know that might be involved in something like this, right? Go, if it's in America, go to the FBI. Just take stuff with them, copy it all and take it to them. It's the best thing you can do. Don't even tell the police department. Just go straight to the FBI and get to them. And if you don't want to hand it in, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, send it to them.
That's the thing. Post office over here has been known to scan the contents of envelopes of people marked.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you're better just taking it right to the main door then. So here, listen.
Because you got to remember, the U.S. Postal Service is still a government product.
UPS,
still.
FedEx or whatever it's called. Do it that way. Be home. Right. Yeah. So we'll be back tomorrow, guys. We'll be talking about tomorrow with more close to home subjects. And I hope you all have a lovely Saturday night. And may the aliens come down and take you away. And the people that's been doing these bad things, we're coming for you.
As the name of the clock app, as the kids like to call it, is called TikTok, gonna bring you down.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe anywhere you see Bald and Bonkers for even more insanity. Be sure to spread the love to the Bald and Bonkers boys' other endeavors. And a special thank you to our audience, guests, and everyone else who helps make this crazy ride happen. Amazing things are ahead. Learn more by visiting www.baldandbonkers.net. See you next time. Much love and take care.